Here's what nobody's going to tell you about starting an agency, or really just a business for that matter. You are going to make every single mistake in the book. You are going to burn money on the wrong things. You are going to hire the wrong people. You're going to chase the wrong clients. You're going to build the wrong systems. You're going to overpromise and underdeliver at times. You are going to have the highest peaks where you think everything is going right and you're on top of the world. And then you are going to have the lowest lows where you think your life is ending and you're going bankrupt and you're gonna have to go live under a bridge with your family. And by the time that you actually figure it all out, you are going to lose a lot of money and a lot of years learning those lessons the hard way. And I know this because that is exactly how I learned them. I've generated over $20 million in online revenue. I made over $8 million in profit for myself. I scaled my first agency to over $500,000 a month, and I sold it in a multi-million-dollar deal. And I did all of that in 3.5 years. Sounds crazy, but that's the truth. But with all that said, the amount of time, energy, sleepless nights, and money that I wasted was substantial. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to share the biggest lessons that I learned building multi-million-dollar agencies, the things that I do differently if I started over, the things that I would double down on and do again, and the mistakes that cost me the most. Because if I knew the things that I am about to tell you right now, when I first started, I would have had a lot less pain and I would have gotten to where I am now much quicker. Here are 5 lessons that I wish that I learned. Number 1 is niche. So the first thing I would do is I would pick one niche and one service before I did anything else. When I started my agency, I didn't know anything about anything. So any client that came to me for any type of service, website or SEO or paid ads or whatever it was, I would take them because I had to make money, right? And they were there, they had money. So I was like, all right. And even after in my agency, I made a decision at one point to go after only chiropractors and I was only going to do meta ads. I still wasn't sure that this was the right call or the right decision, because here's how us agency owners think, or even most business owners in general. We say to ourselves, wouldn't it make more sense to go after a larger market so I had more potential clients to sell to? If I sell my services to everybody, that's a bigger market. And that's true. And then we think if I have multiple products I can sell to all different people, that means I make more money, right? Also true. These things are true. I'm not disputing that or challenging that. But here's why, if I could go back and tell myself anything, I would start my agency with one niche, one client avatar, and I would only do one thing or have one service for them. Because as long as that niche has a large enough total addressable market, like chiropractors, for example, there's something like 70,000 licensed chiropractors in the United States. That is a massive market. And if I am only targeting that one avatar, I can speak directly to them. My value proposition, my language, everything becomes centered around that avatar. And now, if I'm only selling them one product, for me, that was meta ads or Facebook ads for chiropractors. I only have to build my fulfillment around meta ads for chiropractors. So yes, I have a smaller market than just selling to everybody. So yes, I only have one product to sell, but I can do it far more effectively and far more efficiently. Here's the part that us agency owners miss. The problem in business is not, is the market big enough? Or can you find something to sell? The real problem for you and me is getting people to actually buy it. The marketing, the lead generation, and then being able to successfully fulfill on it. That is the part we're overlooking when we think about TAM and products. And what this model did for my agency was make it way simpler to speak to that audience, which meant I could get more qualified leads showing up to sales calls. And I could clearly articulate what we did, what we sold, because it was just one thing. We became specialists and we got really good at it. We were confident in our results. So we were able to make big promises, and then we closed deals. And then we actually delivered on those promises because we only did that one thing over and over and over again. And if you do the math, so we're in this one niche. We have 75,000 chiros, 2,500 each. We sell 200 chiros. That is $500,000 in monthly recurring revenue. So ask yourself, why do I need a bigger audience than 75,000, or even if it's 30,000 or whatever it is, right? To sell 200 clients, right? Doesn't it make more sense to be niche down and speak directly to these people, to the chiros, rather than just try to speak to anyone and everyone? I say this all the time. With one avatar, one niche, one product at one price, you can scale an agency to $1 million a month. And if you do, once you get there, then you can decide, hey, I want to expand my market and work with more people. or I want to add more products or services, then do it. Because now you have more time, you have more energy, you have the resources, you have more people, you have all the additional weapons that you need to take advantage of a larger market or more products, rather than trying to do it at the beginning when it works against everything that is conducive to scaling an agency. Lesson 2 is sales script. Build a sales script and a sales process before you spend $1 on leads. Now, this one might sound obvious, especially coming from me and us agency owners, right? I pride myself on having a deep understanding of marketing and sales. But if I'm being honest with you, for the first few years running my agency, we were operating off a bullet point pitch deck. We did not have a word for word sales script. And at the time, even the sound of, or somebody telling me, hey, you should build a word for word sales script, it felt low level, amateurish to me. I would think we're experts at what we do. I know what I'm talking about. I can get on a call. I can have a real conversation with people. I can share what it is we do, and then they will make a decision. And the truth is, that's exactly what I did. And it worked sometimes. I closed deals. I scaled my agency. But the amount of money that I lost by not having a dedicated sales script for me and my team, it almost makes me sick talking about it here with you now. In fact, in spite of your level of expertise, it will work against you on sales calls if you do not have a script and a process to follow. Because the psychology of selling and the psychology of consulting someone based on your experience are two different things, and they are meant to produce two completely different outcomes. When you are just leaning into consultative selling, right? You're sharing your knowledge. You're telling your prospects what you believe that they should do based on what you know. You're not actually taking the prospect from point A to point B in a straight line. Point A is they don't know you and they're unsure about your product. Point B is they are ready to make a buying decision. Your expertise, as impressive as it is, yours, mine, whatever, it will get in the way of that journey, A to B, if you are not following a structured sales process. And the second part of this, which is even more important if you want to scale your agency, is that you can never just delegate all your expertise. How do you hand off that process that you're using when you just show up to a sales call to someone else, to a salesperson? I'll tell you how. You take it, you build it into a word for word script, a framework with steps, discovery questions, an implication phase, transitions, proactive objection handling, all of that. That is how you get off sales calls. That's how you also bring talented salespeople into your organization. And I'll double down on this. If you don't currently have a dialed in sales script in your agency with a proven framework, you are never going to attract or keep talented salespeople, period. So before you ever spend $1 on ads or generating leads, go build a word for word sales script, iterate on it based off your calls, make it better over time, learn from all the sales conversations that you or your team are having, tweak it. That document will be one of the most powerful things that you ever bring into your agency. Number 3 is paid ads, but not just paid ads with a real budget. Look, if I had to eliminate every other channel and I could only pick one lead generation channel, organic, referrals, cold email, cold DMs, LinkedIn, all of it, hands down, without a doubt, no questions asked, I would pick paid ads every single time. It is not even close. I've used every single channel you could think of to generate leads. And the truth is, there was only one channel that was able to consistently bring me 10, 15, 20, 25 deals every single month inside of my agency. One channel that was responsible for 90% of the revenue in my business, and that channel was paid ads. You can try to attack this however you want. You can try to justify why another channel is better, but the truth is this: if you want to build a multi-million-dollar agency, you have to figure out paid ads. It is not easy. No, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of nuance to it. And look, you might get your agency, or you might currently be at $80,000 a month, maybe even $100,000 a month, but you will never get to $250,000 in monthly revenue. You will never get to $500,000 in monthly revenue. You will never get to the levels where you start to formulate real enterprise value in your business, where you can sell it for real money if you don't run paid ads. And the next part is just as important. Don't dabble. One of the biggest mistakes that I made, that I see agency owners like us making, especially today in 2026, is thinking a $2,000 or a $3,000 a month budget is enough. And it's not. Here's why less money, less budget actually works against you. Agency agency owners think. If I go out there and spend $10,000 or $20,000 a month on ads, there's a chance I will lose all that money. So I'm going to start at $3,000 a month, where it's a little bit safer and easier and less of a commitment, right? But the less you spend, the more risk you are at. And I'll tell you why. It's because of the law of numbers. At $3,000 a month, in today's market where leads and appointment costs are expensive, you're generating very few leads overall. And we both know out of the leads you generate, only a percentage are going to book an appointment. Something like, I don't know, maybe 60, 70% are going to book an appointment, right? A smaller percentage of those that book are going to actually show up. Maybe only 50, 60% actually show up to their appointment. And an even smaller percentage converts. Depending on how good you are at sales, maybe 25%, maybe 40%, maybe 50% will convert. So there is a real chance of zero sum where you don't close a single deal in a month on $3,000 or $4,000 in ad spend. And in a business model where the lifetime value per client is, I don't know, what is it in your agency? $12,000 on average, maybe higher, right? I've seen much higher than that. It doesn't take many clients to get all of your money back. At $10,000 a month in ad spend, you're dramatically increasing lead volume. The percentages throughout are the same. Some will schedule, some will show, some will convert. But even if you only close 1, 2, 3 deals on $10,000 in ad spend with a $12,000 lifetime value per client, you're in a good place. You will get all of your money back and some. It wasn't until I consistently spent $10,000 a month that I started seeing real momentum in my agency. And then I was able to build on that. I created new floors for myself. I was able to go to $20K, $30K, $50,000 a month in ad spend. And I could finally see that there was a real true return on investment to be had with paid ads. One of the saddest things that I see agency owners do is dabbling with $2,000 or $3,000 in ad spend. And then they just decide ads don't work and they give up on it altogether. You are literally sabotaging your own growth if you do that. Even today in my businesses, we consistently sign 25, 35 new high ticket clients every single month consistently. And that's spending anywhere from $30,000 to $70,000 a month in ad spend in each one of those agencies. Hey, agency owners, everything I just covered, from niche to sales process to paid ads, this is what builds a $100,000 a month agency. And whether you want to hit your first $100,000 a month or you've already gotten there, but you want to know, how can I stay here consistently? How do I have deals coming in every single month? And if you want help building this foundation the right way so you don't have to learn all of this through trial and error, click the link in the description. We have helped over 130 agencies install our $100,000 a month system, and I would love to show you exactly how it works. Now, let me talk about the 2 things that actually got my agency from $100,000 a month to over $500,000 in monthly revenue, and eventually to a 7-figure exit. We got niche, right? We got niche up here. We got sales script. We got paid ads. Now, here are the 2 more things over here and over here that took me from $100K a month to $500K a month. And that was 7-figure ops and exit simulation. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with each of these things, hang tight, I'm gonna explain. Build your operations before you need them. And here's the thing. Targeted acquisition in your agency is what actually makes this possible. Here's something that most agencies don't understand. The beauty of working with one niche and one ICP and selling one product is that it makes your operation scalable almost by default. The question I always get is this: Gil, great. Once you show me how to acquire all these clients, once I'm signing 10, 20, 30 clients all at once, how do I actually make sure that my agency is scalable and it's not going to break and fall apart and the wheels are going to fall off, right? How do I build operations around that? And the irony in this question is, if you build targeted acquisition the right way, the way that I am explaining to you here, your operations become scalable by design. Think about it like this. If you are only signing up chiropractors, for example, and you're only offering them meta ads to those chiropractors, you are doing the same thing over and over again for every client. And you know that. You can predict that. Every single client is going to be a chiropractor who needs meta ads. So now you can anticipate the fulfillment model. You can start building a system around it because it's worth your time and energy to build a system. You know you're going to be doing the same thing hundreds of times over. Compare that now to an agency, or your agency maybe, where every client is different and every client client gets a different service or fulfillment model. Where do you even begin? Where do you start building automations? Where do you start systemizing? Where do you start building SOPs? With this model, you're not just improving acquisition, you are improving your margins. You become more efficient. The business is more efficient. Your ability to build scalable service delivery. Let's say your fulfillment stack looks something like this for your clients, right? You help with the offer, you write ad copy, maybe you do video scripting, maybe you do some editing, you launch their ads, manage their campaigns, you build them a funnel or a lead form, you set up nurture on the back end for leads that opt in. All of those things are going to be similar or the same from client to client with this model. And not only that, you're going to start identifying what works really well. You'll have proof of concept because you're doing it over and over. And the rule here is that 80% of what you do for your clients should be template based, while 20% will still be tailored to them. There will always be a layer of customization, but 80% is template. Most agencies, they have this flipped. They believe the value is in doing 80% custom work for their clients. They're doing something new for every client that's tailored around them every single time, which means how can they ever get great at it? It's different from client to client. They don't have enough reps of doing the same thing. So they're not getting their clients the best results, whether they know it or not, which means they're just not that good. With the 80-20 model, it is a win-win across the board. Sales is easier for you because you're speaking to one avatar with one product. Fulfillment is easier. You make more money because your margins improve. You're more efficient. And your clients get better results because you've done the exact same thing hundreds of times, thousands of times, right? And now you can build SOPs, systems, delegation, all of these processes around one primary product. Once I made this flip in my agency, it changed the way we ran the business. And that's when I was able to make more money, build a system, put leaders in place eventually who could make decisions without me because everything was documented. Everything was repeatable and nothing lived exclusively in my head or was based on my own expertise. If I could go back, I would have built that assembly line fulfillment model the moment I started my agency, not after things broke. All right, number 5 and the last piece of advice I would have given myself was start with the end in mind. If I could go back and give myself this one piece of advice on day one, it would be this: start thinking about selling the business from the very beginning. And the main reason is simple. Building a sellable agency is the only agency that you should build. It's the only one that is worth your time and energy. It's the only one that makes sense. Most of us agency owners think, look, I'll go out, I'll make some money first. Once I'm making enough money, I'll call up a broker, I'll list this business, I'll sell it, and I'll walk away with millions. And I'm telling you right now, that is the wrong approach entirely. I know I made the mistake. Here's the thing, even if you never want to sell, you should build a sellable agency because a sellable agency is one that operates autonomously without the founder being involved in everything. Think about all the things that a buyer would want buying your agency. They want consistent revenue. They want consistent deal flow coming in. They want to know the business doesn't rely on one person, on you. They want to see the systems, operations, the fulfillment model, everything that big professional companies do. And if I start designing my business around everything that a buyer would scrutinize in due diligence when they're buying the business, the financial model, the client retention, the operational independence, consistent profitability month over month, all of those things are also what make the business enjoyable to actually own and run. It requires less of you. You make good money. There's less stress because there's less up and down volatility in the numbers. You can take a vacation. So ironically, by building a sellable agency, you're building the best possible business to own. And you can keep it for as long as you want, if you want to. You don't have to sell it while you're making money, and you can just work and enjoy it, right? Or if you get to the point, which most agency owners do, by the way, and you decide you want to cash out, then you can cash out. The part that most agency owners miss, they never think about this until it is too late. They take the business, call up a broker, and they realize their agency isn't anywhere near sellable, maybe not worth anything, not even close, right? And they basically have to go back to the drawing board, hit the reset button, and rebuild what is considered a sellable business. If I could go back, I would understand much earlier how private equity works. I would understand what buyers are looking for, and I would have designed the business, the agency, to be sellable from day one. I would started building it for that. And by doing that, you don't just build a sellable business, you build a business that is worth owning. So number 5 is exit simulation, which is also build a sellable agency. And you do this by putting all the foundational things in. And really, you can run due diligence on your own agency. You can run due diligence, build a data room. You can go through exit simulations. You can do all of these things to begin preparing your agency to be sellable. And at the same time, you can build the best type of agency. So those are the 5 lessons that I would give to myself. Niche down and sell the result. Build a real sales process, a real sales script. Commit to paid ads. Understand that targeted acquisition is what actually builds 7-figure operations, and start building a sellable agency from day one. Every single agency owner that I work with today, we start with these foundational building blocks, because the system that took me from $0 to $500,000 in monthly revenue and a 7-figure exit, it isn't some advanced playbook. It isn't some hack. It is getting the fundamentals right in the right order from beginning to end. If you want help building this inside your agency, whether you're just starting out, whether you're at $50,000 a month, or even already hitting 6-figure months at $100,000 a month or beyond, and you feel like you've hit a wall, or you're not sure what the end looks like yet, and you want clarity, click the link below to learn more, and I'll see you in the next video.